Welcome to the Two Doors podcast, where we open the doors to Australia's top minds in tech, talent, and transformation. Hosted by Alexander Gill, founder of Two Doors Recruitment, we cut through the noise with real conversations from leaders building the future of work. Subscribe to the show to hear and see more of these types of conversations. Let's get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Two Doors podcast. I am here with Wilson Mendes. Will is a Google developer expert in Angular and web technologies, international speaker, and open source contributor with over 15 years of experience in front-end engineering. He has worked for global companies like Atlassian, NearForm, and ThoughtWorks, leading large-scale web applications focused on performance, architecture, and developer experience. Passionate about building high-impact user interfaces, modern front-end tooling, and scalable design systems. Wilson is active in the global tech community, and he's spoken at conferences across Brazil, Australia, Japan, Russia, and beyond, sharing insights on Angular, React, Vue, JavaScript, web performance, and the future of front-end development. Wilson, welcome to the podcast.
Welcome.
Hey,
really
I'm
glad to be
excited.
here.
Yes, yeah, me too. I'm excited for this because you are an international superstar, and we get to pick your brain about tech and everything like this. So, yeah, what's been going on lately?
Those days, I've been working for like few years on migration, so like front-end revamp and front-end re-architecture across companies. Like they moving from one architecture to another for different reasons, not technical, honestly, all of them more related to the business, to improve lead time, to decrease issues, and to increase revenue, and the other way around. And yeah, using technology for that.
Yeah, I'm seeing that a big market trend at the moment where businesses are really crunching down on that return of investment and looking at it. So you've been doing a lot in terms of like architecture revamp and that really making it lean by the sounds of it.
Yeah, totally. Few things that company are looking more closely those days for example, with AI that's been talking a lot. People are using more a data-driven approach for a few things, and having some instrumentations here and there can help this a lot. Also, make sure that we are following things like, sometimes people hear this as just slangs like SLOs, SLAs, but they're just terms to make sure that the application, the project is running in a good state, in a healthy state. And in summary, like try to make things to be in a setup for success.
Yeah. And that's all you can do, right? Your role, I find, is evolving. It's more about how you think about software and architecture. And I'd love to jump into some of the technology with you as well, because I've seen a resurgence of Angular here in Australia. So a lot of government builds have been Angular, and they obviously Angular 20's out, and you can be vibe coding this year, all of these. But yeah, where do you really see the future of technology going?
That right now is like, I'd love to put in that way. I believe that's a good analogy. Before we had, I guess the first big massive change with IT when we started with smartphones. So everyone could do anything, just to bring something on the hand, and they can call people overseas. They can avoid to go to the bank and just pay the bills. And sometimes they just remember that they can call using that as a phone. And now we are looking for the massive AI changing. Of course, we have a lot of divergence. So there's a lot of approaches, a lot of ideas. We are moving towards convergency. So as waves that we have. And for example, specifically for the technology that you mentioned for Angular and the front end in general, we are in a great place to be. Angular, for example, they shipped a page with some best practices for AI and vibe coding for this framework. Things like which rules that could be good for you to be using your app application, uh, some prompts, some specific prompts that you can define, and how can you write few things to make sure that the output won't be insanely strange or just following the things based on the company definitions. That's, of course, a lot of things that will be happening, a lot of things that will be coming up and popping up over the next few weeks and months. But that's just amazing.
Yeah. And it's great that they're almost giving a playbook, because what I'm seeing is that we're in this AI revolution, but it's quite cowboy-esque. And what I mean by that is, like, people aren't necessarily talking ethics, data, how it's governed. And then, like, what about hallucinations? Because, they're left field. But if you're vibe coding and you're building this whole software that you don't even know the architecture deeply, then what's the ramifications of that? So that's great to hear that Angular are doing this. Hey, if you're going to be doing this, we'd advise doing like this.
Yeah, totally. And we have some good outputs come from Google. Like, if you think about they using their own products, I would say they have a lot of expertise in that. And just coming from data from the real world, which is also amazing. I always love to think about AI, because right now we have two things happening among a lot of others, but I would like to just speak those two. The first one, the idea of AI. And I would wait to put that, like, for share with people who are not that familiar or need to really think how to integrate that in the companies. It's like AI is like a kid, right? A baby. You came to the world, you don't know how to speak, you don't know how to walk, and start to learning based on the inputs that the baby is receiving, the child is receiving. Is this pretty much the same thing with AI? It's based on the inputs, based on data. So if you get something internally, for example, running in your in-house, in your company, using the whole database, the documents that you have, you can get a lot of benefits on that. I'm sharing that, for example, because for a few companies, let's say government companies, they are not able to use external tools, so they can use some open source and integrate that. And also, on the other hand, there's a lot of marketing around AI, right? So a few things that you're sharing as AI, and they're not. A few weeks ago, there was sharing they were sharing a post about builder.ai. There was a company that got, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. It's like the company was just created a few years ago as like something a massive change on the IT business, and now they just realize, okay, that's totally fake.
Yeah, wasn't it like 300 software engineers were behind it, but they were saying that it's an AI, and it's funny because I think right now we are in this revolution with, like, I don't know how to say the guy's name right, but Jai-Ho Yul was paid by Meta 100 million to sign from OpenAI. So, like, it's obviously like a serious thing, but when companies are fronting up and there's 300 developers behind, they're saying that they're AI. But I love your point about AI being a baby, because I'm not a parent yet, but I've heard parenthood is like prompt engineering. You're just trying to get the child safe into a teenage years, and then it goes off to live its life like values. And it's how you operate the software, isn't it? Because to your point, Wilson, like, you've seen the advancements of mobile phones, and now we're going into this device here. I don't know where it will go, because my predictions are always incorrect. Like, I was like VR and AR. Oh my God. Like, even Elm, I was like, Elm is the future. And it's like, so I'm not going to give my predictions anymore, but we'll see it evolve and change, I feel.
Yeah, totally. And if you think about, like, I'm working as a consultant, right? And working with consultancy, you have to balance, because you go to the company, you understand the problems. And now we have this idea of, okay, AI here, AI there. And there's a driving for AI for a few things. Some of them are totally valuable. but some of them are not necessarily technical. It's more related to the business itself, the way to put the company on the market, and so on and so forth. And for a few companies, that's great. For other companies, okay, we need to rethink the approach, because perhaps at the end of the day, we are looking for delivered value. And if delivered value can be anything that's cheaper for you and achieve the goals, that's great. Being AI or not. For example, the birds that have been working over the last few months, it was a monolith Django application. Python everywhere, templates, easy peasy. It was running over 10 years, and the company was totally profitable, but they got some bottlenecks. Bottlenecks on leading time to deliver, and they started to have few issues, some strong and massive issues in production when they got the whole application fully out and unreachable. And they start to think, okay, we need to make things reliable. And if you have to roll back something because for some reason, of course, we have code, we can have bugs. We don't want to go to the path that we have bugs, but we understand that sometimes that might happen. And how we can make sure that things are moving faster, but also in a good pace. So understand the problem, being pathetic with the code, and moving to another approach. For example, for that one, the one that I decided with the team was, okay, let's decouple at first the application between front end and back end, and we can use some micro front end approach, so we can have a few pages here and there. And at first, they couple per pages and per domains based on their teams, their internal structure. And with that, the main deployment can be fully atomic. So if the changes are on the API, they can be fully atomic. Their data team are working really well, so they have the whole lake running in a stable path. The front end's like blazing fast, so things are, I believe that before the whole pipeline running with tests and all the validations from start to production, it was taking around 30 minutes. Now front ends take around like 2. So
Wow.
massive changes, and among other things, of course, things they are not looking for example, the release process. They had some release steps, but then they didn't have few caveats covered. For example, hey, if I ship this feature, which is massive, which is great, but I have something fully broken, some scenario that I couldn't find anywhere before production, how can I roll back this application? Which approach should I be using? Should I be using feature flags, or should I be using anything else? Just a mechanism to make sure that I can revert things faster and think of the customer first.
Yeah, that's key, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. And that's not even related to AI, as I mentioned. Like at the end, it's like business, understand the business, because like I came from a place when we start working. My first project was PHP, and PHP 3. We didn't have such a thing as classes or anything well organized. It was everything in the same spot. The whole PHP logic, SQL, HTML, CSS. It was hard. It was really hard. However, since for that time until now, the main focus is use technology to deliver value, make things cheaper, smaller, easy to validate, easy to keep incrementing. And those are coming from with experience as well, right?
And that's the hard part, isn't it? That I find that you have to fail in order to have experiences, but the education system sets us up that you have to get like 99% on your test and then you win. But in reality, it's like, hey, you make a mistake and you learn. Like we had David Lucci, another Brazilian guy, on the podcast the other week, and he was sharing that his mentor had taught him, hey, like in cybersecurity, let it burn. let it all burn, and that's how you learn. It's like, oh my god, why could what would you say to more juniors getting into the game? Like, what would you advise if you were to start your engineering experience now, 15 years ago, but starting in 2025? What would you do? Like, and what would you advise those people?
That's such a great question. Like at my time, internet was not the fast. We didn't have a lot of information around, and now we do. That can be great, but that can be problematic as well. And now that you have a lot of information, it's hard to keep following. There's a lot of things in between. For example, FOMO. Every single week we have a new tool, a new technology, a new approach, and how can I start with small steps, logic, pick a language, understand that language, and keep improving. Things will keep appearing, upwards will keep appearing, but understand the market and what's required for the market. For example, if you look for a front-end role, understand which tools and frameworks will be interesting for that, understand the main language, JavaScript, and have experience in that. Among other things, you'll be learning. The juniors, as junior, is expected to be learning and be a quick learner. So first language, but even before that, the ability to learn for yourself is something great. If possible, that was my case at the moment. We didn't have such a good name for that. Those days we have really well organized idea of mentorship. At that time, I have friends who were more experienced who could help me and could guide me. Okay, that based on the idea that you're looking for your career, may be good to look for these areas, the technical aspects and the people aspect as well.
Yeah. So if I can add to that as well, I think going the extra mile is also important. Like, there was a period where you would have crammed in a lot of learning and a lot of growth, but people don't necessarily see that today because they're like, oh, Wilson, he's worked at Atlassian, he's done all of these, he's in Brazil, he's working on this architecture. But there was a really hard, tough era that you probably went through where you were networking, going to events, learning, like developing outside of office hours. And it was a tough time, but you would have learned so much of experience and skills in that time that it's molded you into who you are.
Yeah, exactly. And understand which approach you'll be using to learn also. For example, for me, I love to watch videos and get my hands dirty. If it's something technical, try to create something based on that technology, based on that tool. For example, when I started, I started to give some contributions to a research project based on that. If it's something more related to soft skills or something non-technical, see if you can find someone with more expertise in that, with more knowledge of that, and have that around. Understand that working with a team is not just grab your laptop and write some code or just be here and there. It's good. And also have some hobbies. This is great. Sometimes you need to just turn your laptop off and recharge something. We were talking before, like go to hiking or anything. What works for you?
And that's a nugget, I believe, a secret. And it took me many, many years to realize this, that, nature heals. And all the top leaders I speak to, like yourself, I was hiking on the weekend, or even Peter, who was on the podcast, like cybersecurity expert, he goes camping 4 times a year, gets off grid. Or we look at Bill Gates, will book himself into a cabin, same as Jody, who came on here, and just gets down with 5 books, reads them, and, reconnects with the surroundings. But when you are heavy in the software, it can be overwhelming, but you have to go through that grind period, don't you? And any imparting wisdoms, Wilson, that you'd love to share with anyone watching or listening out there?
Damn, that's quite a few. That put me in a position that's like, let me think. If you look for like tips for something at first, understand where you want to go, try to make a plan. It can be a near plan. This will help you a lot. Try to find a mentor. It doesn't need to be specific with IT. So like I have a mentorship with my activities, like my sports. I'm doing something outside my work, and I love to know more about this area. For example, I have a few coaches to teach me a few things in details about those activities. It can be IT, it can be soft skills, it can be management, it can be anything. Try to pick this knowledge from others and be close to the community. The local community, for example, will be great. And it doesn't matter where you are, you're not alone. And it's good to give as well. There's something that's a good phrase coming from open source projects like share is caring. If you can share something, it can be anything. It'd be great. It'd be great for you to speak also and to improve all the skills. For example, when I was working at ThoughtWorks, we have something called Pachacucha, which is slides, 5 minutes, every 30 seconds, the slide will change and you have 5 minutes to give a speech. It can be about anything. It will be messy because you'll be lost in the track of time. But the main idea is, what can you do when something unexpected happens? And how can you make sure that you're sharing properly your communication? This will be good for improving a few things. I'm a speaker. I just spoke and got the pleasure to be part of few conferences. For example, Just Conf, which is one of the best and biggest conference about JavaScript. That was in Singapore in 2018. And I didn't start from that. I just started for my local community, doing a talk in 15 minutes. I was red. The best way to put that, I was red. It was like shaking. I was nervous, but got me experience. Got me like few things that I couldn't take if I didn't try that. So try something new and keep learning.
There's some great pearls of wisdom, Wills. I love where you spoke about knowing the end goal, know the plan, because many people don't necessarily do that. But I find with that, when you've got a mentor, they can provide that stability and you to give, like look up to, but also giving is also getting. So thank you so much for coming on the show, Wilson. I've had a pleasure of chatting and connecting. So thank you very much.
Thank you. See you, folks.
If you like this episode, please like and subscribe. It helps the growth of the channel so we can keep interviewing some of the best minds that there are here. Thank you very much.